Hello, and welcome everyone. This is the Shine Beyond Cancer Show. This show is designed for anyone who's been diagnosed, currently going through treatment, or is now cancer-free. We know you did not choose to be on this team. We didn't either, but we kicked cancer's ass, and we are here to provide you inspiration, hope, and the tools you desire to manage the confusion and anxiety. We deliver you a remarkably detailed game plan for you to achieve clarity, strength, and purpose, no matter where you are on this journey. We are here to quarterback you through all aspects of your life so that you too shine beyond cancer to live a vibrant, abundant life. However, we are not here to treat, diagnose, or cure any illness or disease. We are making no medical or income claims. Let's get started with the show. Here are your co-hosts. From Wall Street to 9/11 first responder volunteer to wellness warrior and cancer thriver, Mark Slew. And from mom to marketer to master trainer and cancer thriver, Lisa Diamond.
Hi everybody, welcome to Shine Beyond Cancer. I'm Lisa Diamond.
And I'm Mark Slew.
And today we have a guest with us that Mark and I met at a yoga event a couple of months ago, and heard part of her story while we were at this event, and really just kind of fascinated. And we always like to shine light on those that are shining beyond cancer. So I'd like to introduce Susan Falkenstein. And Susan, tell us kind of where you were before your diagnosis.
Well, I was living in Connecticut, and I was working. I managed or directed a nonprofit organization, the Westport Historical Society, as the executive director. And I was in my office when the call came from the surgeon who biopsied what were, I thought, benign lumps in my neck. And I was told that it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
All right, so what were the feelings? What came up for you when you heard that? Because we know that we always talk to people about it because nobody ever forgets that.
Right. Well, when you find out it's your doctor on the phone, the body automatically goes into a fight or flight kind of mode.
Yes.
And you could feel that tension rising, and you're waiting for some words of hopefully good news. Well, those words were not, and for me, the immediate response was as if the blood was being drained out of my body. And I remember actually falling to the floor. And I'm very, strong and agile.
You were alone at the time?
I was alone in my office, and I was standing up at the time. I stood up. I was standing by my desk, and when I was told, I responded with a great amount of surprise, even though that could have definitely been the result, but it was the idea that it couldn't be me. And
Right.
So my body responded by sinking literally into the earth almost. And I started crying. I think tears started welling up in my eyes as I had to face what was going to be quite a journey.
Right. And did you even know what non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was or did you know that was a possibility? Did they give you any inclination?
I guess when they did the biopsy, I had a friend who had a similar kind of symptom with these lumps, and hers were benign. So I said to myself, oh, these are going to be benign.
Right.
But you didn't do any research to find out?
No, I did not. I did start reading about lymphoma once I was diagnosed, and I knew about lymphoma. I knew people who had it, but I didn't connect the dots that it would be me.
And when was that? How long ago was that?
So that was in 2008.
Okay. So it's been 11 years.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So
Congratulations.
what happened right away? What was your game plan right away?
Well, the game plan was really not something that I could orchestrate. I had to deal with the medical system. So once the diagnosis came, then what happens is they need to stage you and figure out if there's treatment needed and what the next sort of scenario is going to be. So I went back to Yale, New Haven Hospital. I was living in Westport, working in Westport, and New Haven seemed more doable than going into Manhattan to
Right.
a hospital there. So I went back to Yale and met with the top hematologist who works with lymphoma patients, Dr. Cooper, and then I was given a lot of tests, bone marrow tests and blood tests and PET scans, and my attitude then was that I need to be my best version of myself to get through this. So I used a lot of my breath techniques as a yogi and recognizing how being calm through the storm was going to be very valuable asset. So I basically said to myself, I need to show up for whatever they tell me to do, and I need to be calm and get through this, because I knew that I was going to get through this. And I guess the good news for me was that the diagnosis was stage 1-2, and it was follicular lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's, which is a slow-growing form. And the good news, I guess, if you're given a cancer diagnosis, is that it's treatable.
Right.
Okay, that's good. The other side of my coin for me was that I was asymptomatic, other than the nodules, and they were removed, and they didn't need to treat me because I didn't have symptoms, and it was very slow growing. So it's a watch and see, which is kind of like good and bad. So the watch and see, however, gives you an out. It gives you an opportunity to do something proactive, so that maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones they won't have to treat. I mean, that's the attitude I took.
Well, I was going to
Right.
say that's your attitude, but it could also go the other way, where people every day are thinking, oh my God, something else is going to happen, and start feeling themselves and touching themselves and seeing if something else popped up. So it could go either way. And the way you handled it is, I would say, not typical of the way other people that we.
A lot of people, yeah.
A lot of people go the other way and just get like into frozen mode.
Yeah.
But was that always your mindset before? I mean, you mentioned your breath work as being a yogi. I mean, you were a
Right.
yogi before the diagnosis.
Exactly.
It wasn't
For 20 years.
for 20 years. Okay, so you had some built-in tools for yourself, which Mark and I talk about all the time. It's one of the reasons why we wrote Shine Beyond Cancer, is that because we had been through all of this personal growth stuff and had some very key principles that we applied to life, that when we got the diagnosis, we were kind of 7 steps ahead already.
We were in your camp instead of the other camp of frozen mode. We were in action mode, basically.
Right.
Right. So you did not go through any treatment.
So I did not.
Okay.
I went through a series of tests, and they give you they kind of block out what they find in the body. I was fortunate, I guess, that nothing was attached to a major organ. Lymphoma, the lymph system is throughout the body,
Right.
so the issue is that it can show up anywhere. So I think, so to tell you my path, so when I got the diagnosis and they sent me home and they said, go live your life, but you come back fairly often. I'm saying every 3 months there was blood work and
Right.
tests at the doctor, and every 3 to 6 months, I don't remember the exact, there were PET, scans
Sure.
frequently, so that you're on the radar.
Right.
But then you go home and they say, live your life. So I went back to work, and I started sharing the diagnosis, but not was some of the first thing that popped out of my mouth, but people knew, my close friends and my coworkers and my board knew what I was going through. So when I left the office, however, I had an interesting path. I went back to the local, believe it or not, juice bar, organic juice bar, that was next to my yoga studio, where I used to go for a juice after yoga. And I said, the guy that owns this natural juice bar probably knows a lot about nutrition and what's good to eat. And I knew Mike, the owner, but not well. And I introduced myself to him, and I said, Mike, I just got news that I'm living with cancer. And I think you might have some ideas of what I should be eating before I go to Whole Foods. So he looked at me and he said, Susan, I need to share with you, I have leukemia. I'm a leukemia survivor. And I go, oh, okay, cancer's probably more prevalent than I think about.
Of
You have
course.
no idea.
And he sat me down and he said, this is what you should eat and not eat. He said, this is the breakfast hot cereal you can eat, And he took me off a lot of foods. Caught my morning Java. I was like, okay. And I wasn't eating meat anyway as a vegetarian, but he took me off fruit because of the sugar content and a lot of things. So I took down the list, and it was pretty tight in terms of what he would recommend initially to kind of make sure the cancer doesn't grow or spread or whatever. So I followed the protocol.
Right.
And
do you remember if that was more like an alkaline diet? Did he mention that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Because we
was.
talk about that all the time.
And I tested my alkaline actually.
Yeah, and
so.
we run a pH balance challenge for people.
Because a lot of people don't realize, like Lisa's saying, that that's a major
important
part.
point
Yeah, it's
you're
an
making.
important, very important part.
Right.
That was part of the path as well.
Right.
And I was still very athletic because I had my energy, and I continued doing the stuff that my activities and working, and try to keep that balance. The idea for me was that, yes, there are many people that have a cancer. I wasn't going to let it define me. It wasn't like cancer was going to take top billing.
We're
It was
laughing
my life
because
was gonna
we say all the time, actually one of my quotes in the book is, cancer didn't define my life, but it gave me a better definition for life.
Absolutely.
And you just
More gratitude.
Yeah, of course.
absolutely. Just, gratitude, living in the moment.
We didn't set this up, seriously.
And,
This is awesome.
living in the moment. You can only live in the moment when you're focusing on one breath at a time, like
Right.
you practice, and so it just kind of it reinforces, like, this is how you shine beyond cancer. You had such a focus on the nutrition aspect of it, which is
Well, food is medicine, the idea.
That's
And the
what-
doctors,
Exactly.
they know how to get you better, but they don't really focus on the preventative.
They don't know anything about
So
it.
the other piece of that, and I'm not sure if other cancer patients do this, is that herb or non-medical supplements, when you're not under treatment, they're okay. So I knew other people that had lymphoma that went to a particular nutritionist. He was out west, actually. Dr. Yancey was his name, and he dealt with lymphoma and herbal, an herbal protocol, if you will. I went to one of his cohorts or his that work in the field of natural medicine, and received or got recommendations for a number of herbs to take in addition to the food, eating healthy. So I started the herbs, and it was pretty involved, in terms of the amount, as well as a financial, investment, but it's in your life, so
Right.
you kind of make those calls. So I started the protocol, and it turns out that I did 6 years into the diagnosis require pretty major medication, chemotherapy, radiation, shots, and so forth. The cancer did spread, and it was an interesting for me though when I did actually need treatment, was that I was having some pain. Now I present to a doctor, someone who looks like they're in shape, and I do,
Right.
and I'm very athletic. So I told the doctor that the pain was from, believe it or not, shoveling, because we had a bad winter and I was out there shoveling snow. And so I said to my oncologist, I probably just shoveled a little bit too hard and I have this lower back pain, but it's not going away. So I sought alternative treatment for that pain. And I went to acupuncture and physical therapy, and I tried to get it better, and it just never quite got better.
So that was 6 years after your
The
original
diagnosis in 2014.
And at that point, were you still on regular checkups, like
Yes,
yearly
yes,
checkups,
yes.
right? Okay.
I was, but this pain was not really picked up until it was so bad that I wanted to get a shot for pain, and like an epidural or something. And when they don't give you those shots until they do a scan,
How
and
long
that's when they
was
found
the
the
pain
cancer.
there before you found
It was
cancer?
a while. It was a while. I would say at least a good 6 months
Wow.
or so
Wow.
before I actually connected the dots. And then the dots were connected for me. And then
Right.
the cancer lodged in my spine.
How long did you have your iliac pain?
Probably from January until August. when I got diagnosed. Yeah, like 8
So
months.
8 months,
I
same
had
thing.
lymphoma as
You
well.
had lymphoma.
okay.
Stage 4 Hodgkin's.
Okay.
Not non-Hodgkin's, regular Hodgkin's.
Okay, Hodgkin's,
And,
okay.
and mine metastasized in my iliac bone in my back, in my right back.
Okay.
And it hurt for months, and then I finally got the diagnosis that it started there, and that's where it was the last place that it left. I had to
Okay.
get radiation on it, and so it's kind
Right.
of very similar story.
So you had a similar path. Okay. Well, so now the idea is that when pains erupt, I get them checked out.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I went through, the chemo, radiation initially for the spine, and they got the cancer, and then follow up with chemotherapy. So the idea with this treatment, when you go through treatment, is that, and in these practices of mindfulness, and you're being in the present, when you have to let go of that. So that's the past. So the treatment is something I try not to go down that road. It was difficult going through, as most people experience, but it's now behind me, and now I'm entering the 5th year of remission.
Good for you.
This September when I finish the treatment. So I count every day as a blessing and try to not to look behind.
So we always say it's
Okay.
just a chapter in your life. It doesn't define you. It's just, you're.
part
I'm
of your story.
56 years old, so it's just a small blip in my story of my
Right.
life.
And lymphoma, they see the difference between Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's. As I was told, was that Hodgkin's is curable. So once you get the treatment, you can pretty much.
hope
I mean,
so.
but cancer, obviously, you never know.
Right.
But with non-Hodgkin's, they consider it like a chronic disease.
Mhm.
They always say, "Oh, don't worry, if it comes back, we'll treat you." And I go,
So what do you do now to be proactive?
So now you still consider food as medicine, and you stay positive in your life, and you surround yourself with people. So getting through the treatment, I should say another piece of this was my family and my friends and perfect strangers who
Right,
were
community support.
unbelievable. And I had a Sangha group, a meditation group that I went to that I meditated, serious sit down meditation for an hour. And I had people praying, Jews for Jesus. I had people that went to church, that went to shul, and they all put a prayer in for me. And I said, please pray. And I swear that I got out the other end because of not only prayer for me, because I was praying for myself, of course,
Right.
but I had everybody else out there praying.
That's great.
And it's a story of, of just like, yes, that I did that a lot, actually. And
And celebrate the small victories, right? And we talk
Absolutely.
about that all the time. Like, the focus of you have 8 chemo treatments that, you get done with that first one and you go, great, 1 down. And, you celebrate that
Yes.
step by step. And again, just try not to get so overwhelmed with going through treatment, because we have people that are recently diagnosed, we have people that are currently going through treatment, and then people that have been, cancer free. And so after treatment, it's been 6 years, 5 years.
5 years. Mm-hmm.
And so the direction of your life, did anything change for you as far as life goals or your visions or your dreams or career path? Or
I think actually it does shift a thought pattern. For one thing, I think it makes you a better person. And I say that because it's not that when everything is going just great that you don't sometimes pause, but when you get hit over the head, you definitely have to take a pause and reevaluate and take stock. And I think I don't think I could have become the person I am without the cancer. So it was a blessing. And I think I'm not the only person that says that. But it does create a shift. It has to. Because you're not the same person you were before the cancer. You are completely sort of like out of the bubble, if you will, and you have to figure out now that you've been given this chance again to live your life. You're going to make
She
it.
write the course?
You're going to make it. You're going to make it really amazing. And I use words like that, amazing and be magnificent, and revel in that magnificence, because we are all very special people, and we need to understand that I have friends that didn't have a cancer that they survived, and I lost people along my path, people on my board and people I knew, and we all know people, and they didn't make it. And so my heart goes out because I was given a cancer that was treatable, and they were not. So how do you put that all together? How do you put the pieces together? But it wasn't even just cancer. I had situations in my life. I was in a pretty serious, almost car accident that didn't happen, but an angel somehow was there. And I feel that we have angels in our lives, and they interfere. And if you're not, they make things good happen for you.
That's amazing.
So
Great
I
story.
kind of try to follow that. If I'm here, we all have a path. So now, what's my path now? Is to share the mindfulness work that I do. I teach yoga, but I teach Qigong, and I'm trying to give people tools to navigate when things get tough.
Right.
Then you just
What
work
is
inside.
Qigong? I'm sure. I don't know it.
Okay.
You know what it is?
So it's a Chinese, it's a moving meditation practice
Okay.
that the Chinese have been using for thousands of years. And it's a practice. Qi is energy, Gong is cultivation, and what you cultivate is life force energy. And you do these movements that generate energy within the body, as if you understand that we are energetic. And the practice is easy to learn, and it creates a mindset of positivity, and it also generates strength from the inside out. It's an anti-aging, longevity
wow.
practice. So
So
if you want to live to be 100, you learn how to do Qigong or Tai Chi.
And you teach it to people that have cancer, don't have cancer, or
Exactly.
is it
Yeah.
anybody?
Everybody.
Okay.
Okay, so could you teach us just one
Yes,
move?
I'm going to teach you a very simple
Okay.
move.
Okay, what do we have to do?
You have to stand up.
Okay.
Yes.
We need our director to change this.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Stand still.
so you stand in what we call vertical alignment, which is just putting your feet underneath your hips. And the three levels, your eyes, your shoulders, and your hips should be straight, so you don't want to be tilting. So I take my shoulders and I roll them back, so my heart is open. And my arms are relaxed, and there's a slight bend in my knees, because in Qigong you want to be relaxed, all right? So the movement is called the balancing movement. Might be a little challenging here, but you cross at your wrists, and you bring your arms up over your head, and then you draw like a half circle, if you will, around, and then you bring your arms back down. So this is called the balancing movement. It also balances your brain, but the idea is when your arms are up over your head, you're creating a rainbow of light and possibility.
that.
So you get rid of the negativity, and you let go of the sunshine. So you create light and a rainbow. And
That's
so the balancing movement is said to, for any stress that you're feeling, you kind of change that with this movement. And the idea is that you can create a very different mindset if you focus and just send your energy somewhere else.
And how long would somebody need to do that move?
Really just
Like a couple of minutes?
not
A
even.
minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it can be just a few repetitions of
And
the
this could
movement.
be something that somebody could use like in the middle of their day.
Yeah.
If they're feeling a little overwhelmed or stressed, or they're getting ready to walk in for
Yes.
a chemo treatment and they've got a
And
little
actually-
anxiety.
That's true, and I want to show you one other breath movement.
Okay.
It's called the remembering breath, and this calms the body. It's 2 breaths in and 1 breath out. So let's do that together. So your palms are up, and you inhale, and then you inhale again deeply, and then you exhale and let the breath out. Okay? So you do that again. Inhale again, exhale. And you can calm the body
Wow,
by
you
the
can feel it.
simple
Did you feel
act
that?
of breathing. And so when I would go for a test, I would do this breath. Inhale and exhale. So you know that cancer can't grow in an oxygenated environment, so you
You say
breathe,
that
bring
all
the
the time.
oxygen in and you let go. But it just calms the breath. It's just making you mindful of your breathing. Because normally you breathe, you don't think about it.
And how many repetitions of that? 2 breaths in, 1 breath out?
I would do it for about a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would be just fine. You don't need more than that.
Do they need to be standing? We're
You can do
standing,
it
but you can
seated,
do it sit.
you can do it if
laying
you're waiting in the
down, or
doctor's
you're just-
office, you can do the breath work.
That's great.
And just kind of send your mind to a good place. And just
Wouldn't it be cool to
relax.
walk into a chemo room
See
and just
everything.
see everybody doing this? Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Right.
So, Susan, we always ask our guests if they could give one little piece of advice, one nugget that could carry them to the next level. What would that be from you?
Okay, so there are two words that have continued to
Look at her.
two words that have continued to mark my journey. And those two words are begin again. So wherever you are, you have an opportunity to make it happen. So just start over and make it really, truly amazing.
That's great.
That's awesome. Susan, thank you for being here.
Great.
This is awesome stuff. You are actually like a perfect example of what Shine Beyond Cancer is all about, and the course that Mark and I have written called Time to Shine. You totally just kind of validated everything that we're
hit
doing.
on every bullet point that we have.
And like we want a whole tribe of you.
Yeah.
So if you want to shine just like Susan is, keep watching us, follow us on Facebook,
Like our page.
and share all of our stuff. Go to Instagram, shinebeyondcancer.com, sbcbook.com. Is that it? That's it.
That's
Producer's
it.
going, okay, good. Hit them all. Until next time, keep shining.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Shine Beyond Cancer Show, the #1 cancer survival guide show for people wanting to kick cancer's ass and take their life to the next level. Be sure to visit our Facebook group, Shine Beyond Cancer, or head over to shinebeyondcancer.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic bonus content. Until next time, keep shining.